Hello, my name is Robin Land.
I am Hugh Box.
Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm Sheriff Danny Dominguez.
I'm Gail.
I'm Marty McVeigh.
My name is Javier Palomares.
Hi, I'm Lori.
I'm Fred Pierce, and I've been a Democrat all my life.
I'm a lifelong Democrat.
I voted Democratic ticket my whole life.
Democrat. My parents were all Democrats.
I have voted Democrat my entire life.
I've been an elected sheriff, Democratic sheriff for the last 28 years.
And I support Ted Cruz.
I'm voting for Ted Cruz. I'm sick and tired of the way the economy's going.
I will be voting for Ted Cruz. I have a business here in West Texas.
I myself am a Democrat, lifelong, but I'm proud to work with Ted on issues that matter.
Are you? No, that was a campaign ad that's pinned on the Twitter page of Senator Ted Cruz, who's in a tight race for re-election. So he's now presenting himself as the moderate choice. You know Ted Cruz, the well-known moderate. Such an amazing story.
To lies from politicians.
Yeah, now he's one of Trump's top lapdogs and never misses an opportunity to trash Democrats, trash anyone across the aisle. But suddenly he's a moderate because he obviously sees that as a strategy to get reelected. So let's get to the details. So an index of Senate bipartisanship by the Uygur Center and Georgetown University's McCourt School of Public Policy, measuring how much a legislator co-sponsors bills introduced by the opposite party and how much their bills attract sponsorship from the opposite party, ranked Cruz 89th out of 98 senators. Moderate.
Moderate Ted Cruz. So I read some of the things he's claiming is moderate. He's like, I supported giving funds to the FAA. That's like naming a post office. Yeah, the planes need to fly. Like, how is that moderate? Like, and then he's like, well, this time around, for the first time, I'm not going to try to shut down the government. Wow, I didn't know you were that moderate. Okay, okay. So everything he listed was like ridiculous. It was so obvious. So he's not at all moderate. So, but what's interesting is, why did he frame himself and act as a radical conservative for his entire career? And why is he flipping now? So the reason he framed himself as a radical conservative was because he thought Texas is very comfortably red. Oops, not as much anymore. It's gone back and forth, and for a second we thought it was going to turn purple, then it went back to red, but now again the polling indicates it's going back to purple, which is very interesting. But the main reason is because Ted Cruz wanted to run for president and eventually did, right? So he wanted to be able to say in a primary, I'm the most conservative, right? So now, though, he's humiliated at the national level and got slapped around by Donald Trump, emasculated, and even if Trump's not around, he has no chance because, I mean, all the Republican voters saw how weak he is and how he had to grovel to Trump. So now he's like desperately trying to hold on to power in Texas, and now that Texas is more purple, he's like, moderate. Look at the Democrats that like me. I hired a whole bunch of actors who pretended to be Democrats that like me, and so that's why me, Democrat. Yeah. Oh, Democrats love Ted Cruz. Have you ever met a single Democrat that didn't loathe Ted Cruz? Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
Okay, so let's talk about how he's trying to rebrand himself. So he is the topic of a recent Politico piece titled "Ted Cruz Rebrands for a Tight Race in Texas." The polarizing conservative has been softening his edges. Trust me, his edges have been plenty soft for a long time.
Yeah.
Ahead of another closer than expected re-election campaign. Now the report explains that Cruz has been playing up his work to pass, as you mentioned earlier, Cenk, new trade promoting bridges across the Rio Grande, tax relief for hurricane victims, and the most recent FAA Reauthorization Act. It is amazing to me that relief for hurricane victims is seen as a moderate thing to do by a conservative like Ted Cruz.
Yeah,
it's the right thing to do. How about our tax resources actually go toward helping Americans? How about that? Maybe consider it.
Yeah, so there's a reason for that, of course. So like I'm amused by every part of this, including the bridges. He's like, for once, I didn't tear down a bridge. I helped build one. That's like, this is the most productive a Republican's ever been. I mean, I could have torn it down and give all the money to my rich donors, but one time I helped to build a bridge. Oh, wow. Again, very magnanimous. But the reason he mentions the hurricane victims, which should be, as Anna points out, that should be a given, right? Because remember, he argued that the blue states should not get hurricane relief.
He's such a bad guy, man. He really is. And I'm disgusted by anyone who uses politics to deny assistance to fellow Americans who need aid. Okay, it's disgusting. Okay, let's keep going. Cruz also told Politico, what is new is not that I'm passing bipartisan legislation that helps produce jobs in Texas. I've been doing that since the day I arrived in the Senate. What is new is we're finally getting the press to report on it. Shut up. This is the guy who, by the way, ran off to Cancun for a vacay when Texas's power grid went out during a severe winter storm that literally killed people.
Anna,
He's
in fact,
a piece of garbage. Trash, as my dad would say. Trash. Go ahead, Cenk.
So we actually found some of his yard signs. It's kind of amazing because he seems to acknowledge it. Can we look at one of those Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz percent. Yes, we can, Coon.
Oh my God, Cenk. You're a ham. Okay. Now let's look at what Cruz has voted against. This might actually make you like him, Cenk. He voted against the CHIPS and Science Act. Cenk has a huge issue with the CHIPS Act for some reason. I'm kidding, but he kind of does. Okay, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, AKA, the pretty watered down gun control legislation, and the Bipartisan Border Bill. The Bipartisan Border Bill, which was negotiated with some of the most conservative Republicans in the Senate. He listened to Papa Trump, he listened to his daddy, and did what his daddy wanted and voted against it.
Yeah, on that one, it was written by James Lankford.
From Oklahoma.
Yeah, a Republican from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he said it was too liberal.
Yeah.
But he's moderate now. Okay, sure.
So let's talk a little bit about his opponent. It's Representative Colin Allred. He is also, by the way, playing to the middle. When asked by Politico if he would like Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or Tim Walz to hit the campaign trail for him, Allred said, what I've always said is that if anyone wants to come down here and talk about issues that are facing Texans and how we can solve them, they're welcome. But I've never been a big surrogate person.
In other words, Biden and Kamala Harris, please don't come. Please don't come.
Yeah.
We're an honest show. You ever see honest shows like this? So yeah, Colin Allred, the Democrat, is saying, no, I don't want any piece of the Democrats at the national level. So keeping it real.
Yes. Now, Cruz is ahead in the polls for now, but not by much. And Allred could actually keep gaining on Cruz, and that's what Cruz is worried about. So the latest 538 polling average puts Cruz ahead by just 3.5 points. Oh my God. Allred is also swimming in campaign cash, which has put Cruz back on his heels and forced conservative outside groups to engage. So far, Allred has spent $26.2 million on general election TV ads compared to about $14.3 million for Cruz. Now, the two candidates will debate on October 15th for those who are watching out of Texas and want to know more about the two candidates here. Now, God, we have so many fun videos to dunk on Ted Cruz with, but I think we're out of time and we got to move on.
Yeah.
Justice.
Yeah. So we're going to show you how he phone banged for Donald Trump after saying that, "Don't you dare insult my wife." What was that? To be fair, it wasn't an hour later. It was a couple of weeks later.
Let's go to F3. Okay. Come on, just give me a little bit. A little bit.
Matter of principle, and I'll tell you.
Biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush.
In the case of lying Ted Cruz, lying Ted lies. Oh, he lies.
Trump retweeted a different meme today. This is what that looks like. Quote, no need to spill the beans. Spill the beans is in quotes. The images are worth 1,000 words. And it has a very attractive picture of Melania, and some would argue not so much for Heidi Cruz, Ted Cruz's wife.
I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's a, that's terrible. Terrible.
His father. I don't know his father, I met him once. I think he's a lovely guy.
I think he's a lovely guy. All I did is point out the fact that on the cover of the National Enquirer, there was a picture of him and crazy Lee Harvey Oswald having breakfast.
Hi, this is Ted Cruz calling. I was calling to encourage you to come out and vote on Election Day. Just wanted to encourage you to come out and vote. Thank you, and God bless you.
Inject that into my veins. Donald Trump unmanning Ted Cruz was the single most patriotic thing Donald Trump has ever done.
There's only one thing left to say. Beta!
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.